Get the monkey at Big Bad Toy Store at the link in the description.
Kaiju, Dragon Ball, Pokemon, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hello collector, Steven here, and welcome to another episode of Diet Figure Fight. Yep, that's right, this is going to be the series where we take, well, somewhat similar figures of characters you like and compare them together. Not full-on figure fight because, well, these characters and figures here don't quite rise to the level of fighting for the same iteration of a character on your shelf, but folks want to see the differences between them. So today we're doing a three-way diet figure fight with Kong. That's right, today we're going to be taking a look at different King Kong figures, and we're going to go ahead and switch on over to the actual view on my review table here, and we already have the size comparison up here for you. Today we do have the Mezco King Kong, the Neca Kong, and the SH MonsterArts King Kong here for you. These are going to be figures that a lot of folks have asked me about, and I would say for good reason too, because the two in the left and the center there, those are currently on the market. A lot of folks want to see a comparison with them, but they're different designs, so not quite the same. And then that one wanted to throw in because a lot of folks want to see a comparison with that too. So, three figures here. Now, for a size comparison, I kind of just stayed with modern, and we're going to swap out that Godzilla in a second, because realistically speaking, these Kongs all are sort of in a different scale. And they're all different sizes, and they don't really scale, unfortunately, with anything. Yeah, so it's a bit of a shame. Unfortunately, my Reborn V-Rex Vanilla Ices, they're in storage right now. So I wasn't able to grab one to bring out, but that is, it's not really a factor here because I have plenty of pictures with those, and they don't really scale well with any of these Kongs. You're going to have to play around with your photography, so yeah. So let's go ahead and swap Godzilla out because a lot of folks want to see a NECA in there. And of course, if you have a King Kong, I mean, obviously we're going to have the Monsterverse Godzilla versus Kong, but how about Showa era? How does that look? You know, we got this big guy here. So, you know, we have the Skull Crawler, which a lot of folks really do like. So we'll throw the Skull Crawler in. How does that look up against all your Kongs there? So pretty good sizing there with those two on the outside, not really in the middle. And then we do have King Goji here, which against the Mezco is pretty good. Against the MonsterArts, I'd say that's pretty good as well. You know, Kong's just a hair smaller, which is pretty good. And then the NECA just towers over everything. So in regards to sizing, scaling, I would have to say, personally, I prefer the MonsterArts, the Mezco, and then the NECA. The MonsterArts just by a hair because if you like your Kongs to be just on the smaller side, the majority of the 6-inch scale Godzilla action figures, this will be good with. However, you can fudge it with some different Godzillas, so that way they're a little smaller than Kong. The Mezco goes well because a good amount of the Kongs, or the Godzillas, he's going to be about the same size or a little bit taller. And I know some folks just like a bigger Kong. And then the NECA, it doesn't scale with anything. It's in its own goofy-ass scale. So it is what it is. So now let's take a look at some other things for your Kong. Kong dance-off time. We're going to look at articulation. So what do we have here for the Mezco? Well, head is going to be on a barbell-style ball joint. So this way we can get some decent movement there. If I can get the head to stay on. That is actually going to play really well into the accessory section because, you know, we can easily swap the head. So that's good. This Kong can kind of look all over the place, look up very well. Shoulders are on swivel hinges, so we can spin around, raise and lower. Hand fell off, but c'est la vie. No dedicated bicep swivel, but we do have a swivel at the elbow and a hinge, which is good. And then the wrists are going to be ball joints, so we can spin them around, and they do like to pop off, but they pop back on with relative ease. We do have an ab crunch. This is going to be on a ball joint, which put a little bit of effort into it, and we get some fantastic movement, which is really good. Hips, ball joint, kind of restrictive, but they do work. Single hinge and swivel knees. which I fight more often than not, I feel, to really move, and then ball jointed ankles. So that is how the Mezco Kong is going to move. Pretty good, right? True. Next. Bandai. Good job. Already going to say that off the top. Originally, when I reviewed this, I was over the moon, and I still kind of am, but not as much. So we do have a barbell style ball joint, which is going to be very long, but that's only going to be for where the faces plug in to the neck, which plugs into the body. So there's no actual other joint there. So it's very similar to the Mezco, but it doesn't give us the same real range of movement too much before it likes to pop off. But it's not as frustrating, as it may seem. So monkey can look around up about that far, down about that far, but it does have a good range of movement before it will pop out. I am forcing it. Do keep that in mind. We do have ball jointed shoulders, which can spin around nice and easy. You can raise his arms up about that far. We do have a dedicated bicep swivel, which is very good. We do have double hinge elbows, which this bicep likes to fall off. And we do actually have swivels at the elbow as well, at the forearm. Ball jointed wrists. For the ab crunch, we have a very, very good ball joint system, for twisting and turning and going back, because he can take a classic gorilla stance. Unfortunately, we're not moving forward that much. So Kong here really struggles with looking down, but looking up, there are no issues there. So that's very good. And then for our waist joint, it's going to be a ball joint, but realistically speaking, it's just going to be a swivel. Ball jointed hips, which have a fantastic range of movement. So as you can see here, I'm twisting, moving, rotating. Kong's thick, so he can't really move his leg back that far. Double hinge knees. We have ball jointed ankles, and then we have toe hinges, which is very good. So like I did make mention, Kong can take that classic gorilla pose. So I'll go ahead and sort of get him in that, which he can do no problem. And as you'll see in accessories, he actually does come with hands. So this way he knuckles up, so to speak. So good. Next, Neca's attempt. What do we have? Ball joint. Realistically speaking, all of the Kongs here have the same range of movement for the neck, so it is what it is. Swivel hinge at the shoulders. He can T-pose like that. Swivel for the bicep. Double hinge elbows with a fantastic range, which also, in and of themselves, similar to the SH MonsterArts, feature a swivel plugging into the bicep and into the forearm. For the wrists, this is going to be the only one that has a swivel hinge wrist. So not a true blue ball joint, but realistically speaking, he can't do that. Ball joint for the ab crunch. Not quite as fantastic as the Mezco, but almost as good. I mean, we get all the range we need out of that, which is great. And then as you can hear, swivel hinge for the hips, but they're ratchets. So these are never going to get loose on you. So that's great. So that's good. Thigh swivel, so though not ball joints like those two, effectively the same, if not better, range of movement. Double hinge knees for fantastic movement there. No toe hinges, but we do have hinges for the ankles. Unfortunately, they don't really like to work too much, but you do get a swivel as well. So this way we get ankle rockers, which is good. Now, something that I really didn't have a chance to show, because I have brainworms, can Neca's monkey do classic gorilla? Kinda. Doesn't look all that great, but he can. I'm just trying to get it to look as, well, maybe not as best, but he can kind of do it. So, what are we looking at here for articulation? Well, let's go ahead and put them in order. You're going to be surprised by this, I think. Mezco, MonsterArts, Neca. Why? Mezco, it has a lot of range of movement and it's very good. However, there are some joints that are missing and it is very stiff. Honestly, I thought I was going to break this one and the black and white one. I don't have it up here for a reason. We'll talk about it in a second. I thought I was going to break them, so not quite as good. MonsterArts, fantastic. Honestly, I do think that it is quite a little bit better in terms of the joints and their intended functionality than the Neca. The reason why it's not is because there are a lot of loose joints on mine. I do think that they could have pushed it a little further, so this way they could have made it the best that it could be. Like, he can't look down really and he can't lean forward. And also, as it turns out, as the years have gone on, there have been reports of the arms breaking. So be careful there. Yeah. And then when it comes to the Neca, we have basically the same range of movement as the MonsterArts. Basically, I said, keep that in mind. But it is so much easier to move. We have better joint functionality, honestly, I think. So if I had to rank these, I would say Mezco, MonsterArts, then Neca. All right. What do we have next? Accessories. And we'll go ahead and talk about price at the same time because it's pretty much going to follow the same trend here. Neca, MSRP is $30. What do we get? Alternate head and splayed hands. That's it. Now, admittedly, the alternate head does provide us an extra overall expression for Kong. I say this is an entirely different design. If you take a look at the way that the eyebrows are shaped, if you take a look at the way the scars land on Kong's face, if you take a look at the actual teeth, this looks like an entirely different design of Kong, kind of like NECA's own design. So this is good, but quite frankly, it's not quite enough to really put it where it needs to be for the best of the best for accessories. So price-wise, this is going to be the most affordable Kong. However, it's not going to be the best when it comes to accessories, but I guess those two are kind of tied together. That being said, Neca did unfortunately leak to its European retailers through their distributors that there is going to be a toon or animated Kong. I think it was animated Kong. Yeah. Anyway, so there will be another Kong coming down the pipeline, and hopefully we'll get some accessories that can be used with this monkey here. Mezco shot at the monkey. So what does he come with? Well, he's going to come with the Missy, Feyre, and Darrow, whatever her name is. He's going to come with shackles, which are really cool, and they kind of work with the Neca Kong, so that's good. He's going to come with some sort of gripping hands, splayed hands, which are good. Those are needed. He's going to come with an actual gripping hand for our damsel in distress, which, hey, you know, that's needed. That's fine. Here, let me get those in view. That would help. And then this one is going to come with a screaming face, raging face, which is always good. You know, to have a Kong that's always mad. That's good. That's good. So for accessories for this one, for about $40, I think 37 on BBTS, to correct myself. That's great. I really do think that this is a nice package. Comes with everything that's pretty cool. What's not cool is the fact that there is a previews version, a black and white version, which is going to come with all of that, an exclusive head sculpt, a bone club like Cubone and Marowak have, and a skull. So in a way, Mezco did a repaint in with held accessories. So so this one is definitely in the running, but it's not, because it's a variant. It's not that, but it's a variant, but it's not that. Should it be included? I would say no. But we do have these awesome accessories which can go with that Kong, but then that's another $40. So that's something to keep in mind. Unofficial, but that head sculpt can't even be used for this one because the colors won't match. So how do we How do we grade this? Well, I will say that overall for this particular design, the shackles, little lady, that's awesome. And I do think we kind of get everything that we need here. And for about 37 bucks, it's good. I am going to dock at points because they withheld awesome accessories from this for the other release that you have to buy. Particularly, you can just use these two. Yeah, and you can't use the other gritting teeth face, which should have been with this one. So for 37 bucks and for all these accessories, I'm going to place this in second for both price and accessories. So we know what number one is, but let's go ahead and talk about why. So an original MSRP, I think it was $67.99 if you go through official Bluefin distribution. We have the MonsterArts, but even though he's going to be last for price, he's going to be first for accessories. Why is that? Well, he's obviously going to come with the Raging Screaming face, which is great. Really nice face here. Teeth look good. He has cavities, which is fantastic. So yay that. How can this face not get best? End of discussion. Hand-wise, he is also going to come with splayed hands, some karate chopping hands. He can shoot a Specium Ray. So if you like Ultraman, those are going to be the hands for you. Like I made mention before, he's going to have the hands to knuckle up, so this way he can walk in the classic gorilla pose. So that's cool. You can see here he's got a hand to sort of hold something, which I'll get to that in a second. So he does come with a full set of fists, and he does have an alternate left hand to hold something. We'll talk about that in a second. I'll pull out the accessory he has for that. He, like the Mezco, is going to come with a little miniature Andaro, so that's cool. There's a funny story behind this accessory, which you can actually check out on my soon-to-be-released MonsterArts 10 Years of Destruction docu-series. And then this Kong is actually going to come with a weapon. It's going to come with a tree branch. A log. Which I think is so cool, despite the fact that it's so small and dumb. It's awesome. Now, what I'm not going to be able to show you, but it's a disc, it's a circular base. I want to say it's about this big or so. It is going to be a dedicated support stand for Kong. It's effectively no different than any other Tamashii support arm, except the claw is going to be a little bigger. And it's going to have a circular base, but yeah, you get an actual support stand for Kong, so this way you can support him standing up. He stands up relatively well on his own, but if you want him flying through the air or whatever, you can do that. So Kong is going to have more hand parts. He's going to come with a display base in this face. So because of that, I would have to say that Kong comes with, here, the MonsterArts, comes with better accessories than the competition. The Mezco is right behind it, but if Mezco with the original release would have included, I would say, at least the Bone Club, it would just edge out the MonsterArts. But the MonsterArts is right there and takes the cake for accessories, but not price point. Start over. All right, and now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the sculpt and paint on everything. And I've gone ahead and swapped out the head sculpt for all of them because, you know, we've taken a look at the default ones throughout the entirety of the video, and I figured, hey, let's go ahead and change it up a bit. So for the Neca Kong here, I would have to say overall the paint and the sculpt is very, very good. There are a couple of areas that I think could be improved a little bit, like the dry brushing on the fur is a little inconsistent. I guess it kind of makes it a bit more natural, but in some areas it's a bit more heavy-handed than others. Now, in comparison to some of the other Kongs that we're going to be taking a look at, well, that we've already taken a look at, you know which ones they are. This one, despite the fact that the muscles are pretty well defined, I would say, you know, especially on the back here, that looks pretty good. I will say that the fur isn't really being sold too well here. It kind of looks all damp. It looks matte up against his body. So I don't really know. I'm not necessarily buying it so much that this is a furry ape, as more as it is sort of like, I don't know, man in a suit, Bigfoot. But for the paint applications in some areas, like down here on the feet and the skin, it does look pretty good. We do have some fresh scar marks here on the chest. It does look like there's a little bit of a blood spray here, so that is pretty good. So the Neca does do quite a few things right, but in comparison to the other Kongs we'll be taking a look at, you will see what they have to offer as well as I pull the head off. Now, one of the reasons why as well, I am not going to give this round, so to speak, to the Neca, All of this is going to be paint shavings and chipping from the Neca. It's still doing that ever since I opened it up a few months ago. So if you can stop, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, remember how I was talking about having a believable looking ape here? Yeah, Mezco, I think, did a great job on their Kong. You know, especially on this face. He's yelling, he's screaming. It looks very, very good. The eye paint application is fantastic. The scars on the chest are super believable. Not as fresh looking on the Neca, but hey, it looks good. You know, the paint application is very subtle, but the browns look fantastic. The dry brushing is dialed in just ever so correctly. This Kong, not necessarily super thick, but it's okay. The muscles are well defined enough on the back, even on the arms. You know, it's not hidden underneath the fur, which looks good. You know, we do have some nice paint underneath on the tootsies, which looks great. He does have some nail polish, just fine enough. You know, we even have on the hands the little tufts of fur, good. So overall, I would say for the Mezco, with the hand falling off again, that right fist just likes to fall off for me. The Mezco looks very, very good in the Sculpt and Paint department, and what they were going for, I think they absolutely nailed it, just like the next one. And with the MonsterArts, you know I had to go with this face. So this is the only Kong that is actually based off of a direct source material from the big screen. The Mezco is based off of a book and a couple of illustrations from that book, like the cover and so forth. So, yeah, this Kong is thick as well. So, I mean, this Kong really looks like it walked off the screen. I mean, it is super accurate. Again, the scarring looks very good. Maybe could be a little better. Here, yes, on the Neca, it doesn't really look like we have super duper amazing tufts of fur here, but for this sort of design, like we saw in the movie, it's very accurate. So to the source material for what we have, again, for figure fights, accuracy isn't necessarily the key here. But I mean, looking at this guy, what more could they have done to make this figure just look good? Maybe a little bit of gray dry brushing, but realistically speaking, I mean, overall, this figure looks fantastic. I mean, this figure came from an era of the SH MonsterArts releases where they were just batting 1,000 constantly. So quite frankly, it lines up just perfectly well. Sculpting looks fantastic on the back. Muscles are well defined. Again, this is a very thick Kong. Forearms are nice and beefy. They're nice and furry. Good. Well-defined barrel chest. I saw a custom Donkey Kong. Yeah. So this one, I would say, ties with the Mezco. All right. And now that we are here at the end, let's take a look here. We have our fancy scorecard. Mezco, Neca, SH MonsterArts. And what do we have? Well, we started off the video with scale, so let's talk about scale, going to the SH MonsterArts. For articulation, we had that go to the Neca. All right, so that's good. Price, we talked about that at the same time as accessories. That's going to go to the Neca. Then we talked about accessories as well, so that's going to go to the SH MonsterArts. And then we talked about looks, and that's where we kind of tied with the Mezco, so that kind of sort of cancels each other out, but that does give a point to both the SH MonsterArts and the Mezco. So in terms of if you were to select through these three Kong action figures, I would say the SH MonsterArts is going to be your best bet. Then we have the Neca, and then we have the Mezco. Now, with this being a diet figure fight, again, these are going to be different iterations of Kong, right? So none of these figures are going to fight for the same spot on your shelf. Arguably, you could say that these two technically are, because even though this is going to be an iteration of Kong from a novel, I believe, Kong of Skull Island, this is kind of sort of its own unique design, and this is NECA's OG Donut Steel, or OC Donut Steel Kong design. So those two kind of could go head to head, but they can't because that's its own thing, and that's its own thing. Now, here's sort of the, the big thing. This is priced way out of any person's price range in the aftermarket. Super duper high. So I don't expect this one to really be an option for anyone who's sort of needing to make up their mind, which one of these do I get if I don't have any of them? If you don't have any of them, I would say get that one. If you already have that one and you're not a fan, get that one. The Mezco, it's good. Don't get me wrong, it's good. It's just that of these three, it's not my personal favorite. And as you saw, everything stacked up against each other. It doesn't really necessarily keep up with the rest, but it does have some good accessories. So if you wanted to get that and mix and match, you could. So anyway, I do hope that this video was helpful. The SH MonsterArts does have a lot of good things to go with it, but in the aftermarket, it's very pricey. And there are a couple of things in regards to quality control that, could be a little better. The Neca is fantastic. Could look a little better. Couple of things they could fix up with the paint chipping, but the articulation is fantastic. It's very easy on the wallet. The Mezco does the looks department fantastic, and it does things just good enough, but not quite to win necessarily in any one category. All right, hope that makes sense to you. So if you did like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Give me some more suggestions for videos like this. I always do appreciate it. We are running a bit long here, so I'm going to go ahead and end the video. But before I do that, I would like to give a big thanks to all of my patrons who have helped out STR. Honestly, thank you so very much. Where we were from a year ago today, my whole review station has been changed effectively, even though it looks the same. Basically, the only thing that has remained is going to be the camera, the lights, and the cloth. Everything else is completely different, so thank you so very much. And then the end card, check out some other cool stuff. We got face masks now up in the STR Teespring, so check that out, and then you can check out some other cool videos. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. I really do hope you have a good holiday this season, and I will catch you in the next video.